Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be doing another book list. I have 2 other book lists on my channel. If you guys want to check that out and you haven't seen them yet, you totally can. I'll link them down below. But I am going to be doing my 2020 book list, but we're changing it up this time because usually I just kind of show you guys books and read off the blurb and tell you guys what I'm going to be reading. But I actually wanted to make it more like inclusive or more fun and more active this time. So I'm going to be actually going through Goodreads and an app called Likewise, and I'm going to be looking at books that I can read this year because I do have a list, but like I feel like I could read more than that, so I do want to have some books as like backup, and these are all books that I already own. So I wanted to look at books that I can purchase this year and that are popular right now so that I can stay up to date with what's going on in like the reading community, which is like so nerdy. I'm just gonna be reading off what books I'm gonna be reading first because I already own them, but I have mentioned some of these books in my previous book videos, so I'm kind of just gonna go through them and then we're gonna get to the like fun part of going through apps and everything like that. So the first book that I'm already reading is Beowulf. I actually started reading it. I'm like 45 pages in, which is like pretty deep in. I'm like really into the plot already, and I actually have to read that for one of my classes, so that's why I decided to get ahead. My semester doesn't start until February 1st, which I know I'm so lucky that it doesn't start until February 1st, so I have like so much more time off. So I really want to get that book done. And the other book that I'm reading right now is Something Needs to Change by David Platt, and I'll also link them down below. Check them out if you want to. This book is basically about how there's a lot that's going on in the world, like poverty and hunger and just a bunch of different issues that sometimes we forget to acknowledge, and the ways to go about it as a Christian and to really acknowledge these problems and be fighting for these people that are struggling, balancing what you need versus the sacrifice you can make to help other people. So I'm really interested in that book, especially right now since like the world's kind of going through a lot with the pandemic. So I want to make sure that I know where I can help and how I can help. The next book is Becoming by Michelle Obama. I know I've mentioned this in the past 2 book videos, but I still haven't read it, which is like kind of embarrassing at this point. So I definitely want to read that book this year. And on top of that, oh my gosh, I saw the other day at Barnes & Noble that Barack Obama came out with a book called The Promised Land or A Promised Land, and I kind of really want to read that too. But right now, oh my god, I was at Barnes & Noble, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's $40. That's like pretty expensive for a book. So I hope to read that sometime this year, but we'll see. I feel like it'd be really cool to read those back to back, like Becoming and then his book. I've heard really good things about Michelle Obama's book. I haven't really talked to people about Barack Obama's book, so I don't really know much about it, but I'm sure it's good because he's a great orator, so I'm sure he's a great writer as well. The next book that I want to read is Gone Girl. I also had this in my last reading list video. I actually did read quite a bit of it, but I took such a long break that I don't remember anything that happened, except like, actually, I don't want to give away the plot, but it's basically this book where there's this couple and they're struggling a little bit, but it like rehashes how they fell in love, but she's missing. So they're like trying to find her. That's what I got from it so far. So yeah, if you guys are into that kind of stuff, I like check it out, or you could watch the movie because there is a movie and I heard it's good. And the next book is Letters to the Church. I talked about this also. It's basically a book about how the churches in America aren't necessarily doing a good job of being the way that churches are supposed to be based on what the Bible says. That was a horrible explanation for it, but like basically everything that we can do to improve our churches in America from the perspective of a pastor. He was like a pastor of a megachurch and then left the megachurch so that he can go preach to like a smaller group of people and really help out people in smaller communities. So I think that's a really good perspective to come from, and I definitely want to get around to reading that book. I actually read quite a bit of it, but again, I took such a break that I don't even know. So the next book is All of the Light We Cannot See. I mentioned this also in my previous book video. This is so embarrassing. Basically, one of my professors a few years ago gave it to me and I really want to read it. It's based in like the time period of the Holocaust. So I do want to get around to that. It's kind of different from anything that I've read before. So I definitely want to read that this year. The next one is a series. It's the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series. I don't know what the actual name of the series is or if it is that, but there are 3 books. I think it's To All the Boys I've Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You, and Forever and Always or something like that. I don't remember the name of the 3rd one, but my sisters have both read all 3 of them and I watched the first 2 movies. so I want to read the whole series. I really want to read that before the next movie comes out. The next series I want to read is the Side series. I don't actually know the name of the series. Actually, it might be that, but there's 3 books to that as well. Scythe, something else, and The Toll. I forgot the name of the second book, but I do want to read it. My boyfriend he lent me the first one, and then he owns the second one, and then the third one I'll probably just buy or borrow from the library. And then Brave New World, I've never read this book. I was supposed to read it for a high school class, but I never did, so I feel like now would be a really good time to read a book like that, where like it talks about government and just a lot of crazy things that could happen, and then just comparing what's actually coming true, which is like really scary. The next book is The Girl Who Fell from the Sky. I have owned this book for like forever. I'm pretty sure it was my sister's, but I have it now. And I really want to read that book. I don't know what it's about at all. Actually, let's check. Okay, so basically there's a family tragedy that occurs, and there's this girl who has to deal with society's ideas of race and class. It's supposed to address the issues of social justice. That sounds really good. I might put this at the top of my list, honestly. After that is Postgrad. I talked about this also. It's about a bunch of, I think, 5 students that graduate from Ivy League universities and what they do in the next year of their lives, and all of them take like pretty creative routes. So I think that would be a really good thing to read this upcoming semester since I'm graduating, which is weird. Lastly, Fire in the Mind. It's basically about how science and religion relate or don't relate, and how you can believe in both at the same time, but also like how they clash. It's just a really interesting book, and I'm excited to read it. I haven't read any of that yet, so I'm excited to read that. All right, so next I'm going to be going through my apps and things. I will pop everything that I'm looking at right here. Okay, so I'm going to start a screen recording, and then we're going to go to Goodreads first. Just so you know, I'm not sponsored by any of these apps. I would love to be someday in the future, but I'm definitely not really ready for that. So going to Goodreads first, I usually just go on the main page and look at what's trending in the different categories that I like. So for example, in nonfiction, the Elton John book is trending, and then I just read the blurb real quick and see if it's something I would be interested in. To be honest, like, I'm not that interested in that one. I was really interested in this book, but the first one, I think it's called The Princess Trials. Yeah. Sometimes I'll see the sequel of a book and then be interested in that, and then look for like the beginning of the series. So this sounds a lot like The Red Queen, and it sounds a lot like Hunger Games and that kind of thing. So I think I would like it, but also like if it's just a rehash of the same plot line, I'm definitely not gonna enjoy that because I've been there, you know? I've already experienced that. I'm looking into reading this book. I put it on my want to read list. Digital Minimalism. Ooh. Choosing a focused life in a noisy world. So minimalism is the art of knowing how much is just enough. Digital minimalism applies this idea to our personal technology. It's the key to living a focused life in an increasingly noisy world. In this timely and enlightening book, the best-selling author of Deep Work introduces a philosophy for technology use that has already improved countless lives. Oh my gosh, this sounds so good. Oh my god, that's a long description. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. This sounds like a really good book. I'm definitely gonna put that on my want to read, and in fact, I might just buy it on Amazon right after this video. So yeah, just scrolling through. Oh, this is cool. Okay, so there's this book called The Hate You Give, and it's actually really popular, so if you've heard it, like, that makes sense. Heard of it, I mean, that would make sense. I read a bit of that book. I actually didn't finish it because I borrowed it from the library and didn't get to finish it in time. This is basically a prequel of that. That's interesting. I would want to read the first one first, though. So I'm not gonna put that on my want. Actually, I'll put it on my want to read, but I want to read the first one first. I've kind of wanted to read Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. I really love Jay Shetty. I like his mindset. I like his ideals. I love his videos. Like, his videos are so good. Oh my gosh, if you guys want to check out some good videos on YouTube, Jay Shetty puts out really good videos, and he also has this podcast that's really popular and really good. So I would check that out as well. Okay, now that I scrolled through quite a bit, I'm actually gonna go through my books in my want to read list. Oh my god, there's 101 books in my want to read list. Ah, that's too many. Yikes. I'm gonna decide which ones I really want to read. So Atomic Habits I definitely want to read this year. So I'm definitely gonna purchase that. And then Unfuck Yourself, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life. I really want to read that book as well. So I might actually go to Barnes & Noble and purchase all of these there, because as much as I love Amazon, they don't really need the support, and like a ton of people are buying from them. at all times for all different things. So when I am buying books, I like to go to Barnes & Noble and make sure that I'm supporting them, even if I have to pay a little bit more. What else should I read? Oh, I've been meaning to read The Alchemist. Maybe I'll put that on there. Ooh, I heard The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was really good. In fact, my friend recently recommended that to me, so I think I'll put that on my list. Running with Scissors I already own, so I'll probably put that on my reading list as well. And maybe Educated. So yeah, this is me just like figuring out what books I really want to read. And like you could see some of the ones that I talked about in this video already are on this list. So, ooh, The Minimalist Way. I've been wanting to read that. I'm gonna read that. I really like that. And Flow is supposed to be really good as well. So this book is basically about, hold on, where's the description? Okay, well there's usually a description there, but there's not one. It's supposed to be about how to get yourself in a state of flow. So like we all have moments where we're like in this state where we're just like moving through the things that we're doing and not really thinking too much about it because we're like flowing through it. Like, I don't really know how to explain this idea at all. But the reason why I marked this book as something I want to read was because of Kayla Nicholson's book video. So I will link that video down below if you guys want to check out that video. Also, The Power of Habit seems good. So yeah, I think that's it from my Goodreads. Now let's look at, there's this app called Likewise, and basically it's an app where you put in the books that you've liked so far, and then it will give you recommendations for books that you might like. So for example, 19 books if you grew up on Harry Potter, which I did. I love Harry Potter. So this is like a bunch of different books that are similar. So yeah, looking more into different things. For example, the best debut novels of 2020 from refreshing new authors. Like I feel like that's something I'd be interested in. So I could click on it and they're just a bunch of different books and then reviews of those books. So this is definitely an app I recommend. Like I said, I'm not sponsored, but I think this really helps me get a better insight into what the books are, whereas Goodreads kind of just shows you the book and then gives you a description. Yeah, there are reviews, but Likewise really personalizes it, and then on top of that recommends like highly rated books and not just like the top books. So I think it's a really cool app, and sometimes I'll just like scroll on here and look at things and then add them to my reading list. They also, like, if you go up, there's like podcasts, TV shows, and movies and that kind of thing. So you can use this app for pretty much any type of media that you use, and I think it's really interesting. So that's pretty much how I figure out what I'm gonna be putting on my reading list every single time I have a reading list, which has been quite a few times, as you guys know from my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope this was interesting to you guys and helpful if you guys are trying to get into reading for the new year. Hopefully this sparked your interest. I think it's really inspiring to like go through and look at people's reading lists and like watch their reading list videos, and also to scroll through Goodreads and see all the many books that we can read. Like, I just honestly wish I had 5,000 lives so I could read through all of the books in the world. Actually, 5,000 probably wouldn't be enough. I don't even know. But I wish I could just sit and read all day long sometimes. I wasn't a heavy reader before, but once you get into it, you like really get into it. I'm leaving all of my links below, my socials, my Goodreads, my Likewise, everything that you could possibly need, and the links to all the books that I mentioned. So I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy, and that this new year is treating you well. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!